podcast. We were soulmates. We were spiritual brothers.
RFK and Charlie Kirk were soulmates and spiritual brothers, all based on one podcast. I mean, that's what he's claiming here. That's pretty heavy, huh? That he went on Charlie Kirk's podcast in 2021, and that's when they became soulmates and spiritual brothers. And then he says he's responsible for uniting him and Trump. How is that possible? Because RFK Jr. did not get on board with Trump until the assassination attempt failed in Butler. That's when a ton of people scrambled. Again, there's a reason that the media that never ran Trump's rallies ran that rally on CNN, all of them. Because again, they love to traumatize the American people with, leaders getting shot, and that's why they'll hold us hostage to the Charlie Kirk assassination, and they'll memorialize him into a saint. And it's wicked what they're doing. Every single one of them that's doing it. Now, Trump, I obviously don't know what he has planned, but they're going to create some revival. I mean, I already showed in comment sections, you have all these bots, everybody saying, oh, Charlie Kirk led me back to the Bible. It's like, that's not initially what he was doing on the campuses. They're so overplaying this, okay? I'm not saying he didn't talk about the Bible. He did. But it shocks me that students didn't realize that when he didn't even want to stick with the Bible and when life begins, that he wasn't so into the Bible as everybody thinks. But this is what they're going to push. Because ultimately, regardless of what the Islamic, infiltration is doing, no matter what the radical left is, this is the ultimate battle. It's the Trump and the O'Kennedys. It's a war that goes back generations, only because, and with Trump, not because Trump wants it, but because Trump goes back to that lineage. See, the O'Kennedys were the Lords of Ormond in Ireland, but they were never any royalty, which is why when Jackie O and JFK went to Windsor, they were that's the life they wanted. It was. They wanted all of that specialness and feeling like a royal family, because they didn't have lineage that went to any royals, except they were, at one point, they were the Lords of Ormond in Ireland, but that was a small area of Ireland. So the big battle came in because the people of England got King James II out, who was a Catholic. Of course, the Irish were pissed off about that. They wanted their Catholic monarchy, and they ended up getting going all Catholic, and now have a ton of history of child abuse. That's the danger there with that. I mean, but that it goes back that far. It's tied up somewhat into the Irish stuff, because of the O'Kennedys obviously being Irish, going back to the same war, and Trump is from that lineage. And Trump is a royal. Now, Trump is not going to carry on here like the Kennedy family did, that they're the royal family. But that's the way the Kennedys always wanted to be seen, as we're the royals. And they're not. Trump is. So that is why the Kennedys came out of the woodwork, okay? They not wanting to lose their status. Well, too late for that, which is why Trump took over the Kennedy Center. Because the JFK, they did a bunch of bad stuff to the country. JFK gave us USAID. He brought Obama Sr. here. Okay, nobody wants to talk about that, do they? No. Because the media is going to you can't trust any of the media, not Fox, none of them. They're going to force this Charlie Kirk shit down your throat because they're wicked, wicked people. That's what they are. I don't care what anybody else says. It's because they're wicked, wicked people. It's not memorializing him. It's doing the bidding for the Kennedy family, okay? Because that's ultimately what I believe that final battle would be about, is that, which I don't think will be a battle. But it's funny that RFK Jr. became soulmates. Who becomes soulmates with the host of a podcast after one podcast? No, I'm sure he knew Charlie Kirk long ago. Likely why he tripped up and said, I've known Charlie since 2001, which would have made Charlie 7. See, interesting. Where is Charlie's parents? I mean, maybe they'll be at the memorial. See, they've hidden a lot of his background. I've had to really dig to get to it, because they tried to pass off at one point that his mother was a mental health counselor. No, she worked at the Chicago Board of Trade. So, right, the stock exchange, the Chicago the Chicago Stock Exchange. They really don't, and they tell you that his dad did, did some of the buildings of Trump Tower. When you look up who were the people that were involved, Charlie Kirk's name isn't listed, or Charlie Kirk's dad's name isn't listed. So why do they say that? And yet, when you look on the archived tweets of Trump's, he never mentions him. He's mentioned Charlie Kirk. He's never mentioned anything about his dad. So it's just all really, anyway. But so I would imagine that RFK Jr. probably has known, if he's soulmates with Kirk, he's known him much longer. But what's strange about this is he went on Charlie Kirk's podcast in 2021, but he didn't, when he's saying Kirk united the two of them. When? Because RFK Jr. didn't get on board with Trump until after the assassination attempt failed. Was that 2021? No. That was right before this election, or the election. So because RFK, if people remember, because I watched many interviews, he said he would never, align with Trump because they're just too different. And yeah, they are. He knows, and RFK Jr. only came out of the woodwork because that Kennedy family knew who Trump was. They knew he was the true royal. Not that Trump is trying to go after that, but he knew that Trump's going to put everything back like the way it was. So the Kennedys are stupid to keep trying to fight Trump. It's a big fucking mistake. But these people don't learn. So they, remember the Butler rally, which CNN and MSNBC never run Trump's rallies, but happened to run it that day because plenty knew, hey, make sure you put this on so everybody can be traumatized by watching another president get assassinated. I mean, if you want the assassinations to stop, then stop worshiping the Kirks. Stop worshiping the RFKs, okay? These people are no good. Oh, that's horrible. No, it's not horrible of me to say. It's the truth. Worship God. If you want to do anything in regards to Charlie Kirk's death, stop focusing all on Charlie and focus on God. That's what every single one of those Republicans can do if they truly were with God. But I guarantee you, with the exception of Trump, the rest of them could care less about God. They will use Charlie Kirk to just continue to traumatize the public and to continue their bullshit games. If you care so much, then worship God. Not Charlie, God. But what they'll do is, oh, Charlie led me back. Okay, you don't need to go on in your worship of him. Because he wasn't just pushing the Bible, but this is what they're saying. It was 3 months before the election that suddenly Kennedy got on board because the assassination attempt failed. That's when many of these people scrambled. Before that, he wasn't going to unite with Trump. He wanted Trump to be taken out. Unfortunately, Kennedy still hasn't learned that God is covering Trump. And all of these people, I guess, just want to find out the hard way.